Hello dear viewers. Today, we will follow the brave fisherman on the cold seas of Alaska, where the waves are sky high and the north wind is howling endlessly. There, every day, modern boats set sail, carrying tons of fishing lines tens of kilometers long and giant nets, ready for a harsh fishing hunt. This is not only a journey to catch salmon, the symbolic fish of Alaska, but also a hunt for fat cod, hidden in the cold deep water. Experienced fishermen, holding the fishing line tightly in the freezing sky, persistently fight the fierce waves to bring each bright red salmon, each giant cod weighing tens of kilograms, onto the deck. Life at sea is not easy, but it is this hardship that creates a majestic beauty, a dance between humans and the ocean, between the hands of labor and the abundance of nature. Please join us to watch the entire process of catching, processing, and transporting the most precious fish in the Alaskan Sea, through the diligent hands of the brave fisherman. It is still dark. Only a few rays of light from the horizon in the distant Arctic Ocean. The sound of the engines of the fishing boats gradually breaks the thick fog covering the harbor. Each large ship, with a sturdy iron hull, equipped with kilometers of fishing lines, cranes, winches, and giant nets, slowly leaves the dock. On deck, the fishermen wear warm clothes, hoods to keep out the wind. Their faces showing determination. Entering a new working day in the middle of the cold ocean. They do not fish with a single fishing rod. Instead, hundreds of long lines, each stretching dozens of kilometers, are lowered into the sea, on which are thousands of baited hooks. The bait is carefully prepared from herring, sardines, shrimp and even squid, which attracts the most salmon and cod. Long fishing lines drift along the currents, spreading evenly through deep and cold waters, where salmon are migrating to spawn and cod lurk in the cold mud. As the sun rises above the horizon, the fishing lines are pulled up. The rumble of the tractor echoes in the quiet space of the ocean. The first fish gradually appear, salmon twitching strongly, scales sparkling like silver in the early morning sun. Each strong jerk causes water to splash onto the deck. But the fishermen still calmly operate, each familiar hand movement cutting the line, removing the fish, and continuing to drop new lines into the sea. At the same time, in another area of the ship, the remaining fishing team is carrying out a completely different job, casting the trawl. This is a giant net, designed as a long bag, dragged behind the ship for several hours, sweeping across the seabed, where large cod often hide. Controlling the trawl requires perfect coordination between the captain and the crew. A slight mistake in direction or pulling speed can cause the net to tear or the fish to escape. After many hours of pulling, when the weight is felt to be enough, the command to collect the net is issued. The hydraulic winch system roars, pulling each meter of the net onto the ship. The scene when the net is lifted out of the water is a moment that makes everyone hold their breath. Hundreds of huge cod, weighing up to 20 to 30 kilograms each, thrashed wildly as they were lifted into the air. Some struggled so hard that they slipped out of the net, fell onto the deck, and hit it hard, creating a heavy sound. No one wasted a second. As soon as the fish were brought onto the deck, A series of workers began the sorting process. The good-sized salmon are kept separately and put into the flash freezing system. The large cod are quickly cleaned, gutted and packed into ice tanks. There are also automatic head cutters, gutters, high-pressure brine rinses, all done quickly and precisely to the second on board. Everyone has a clear task. One person removes the fish. One person sorts it. One person records the weight. One person operates the conveyor belt. One person monitors the refrigeration system and one person stands in the deep freezing area. It takes less than 3 minutes for a fish to go from being pulled out of the water to being placed in a freezer at -40 degrees Celsius. Speed is vital, as any delay will cause the fish to lose its freshness, the reason why the Japanese, Korean and European markets value Alaskan fish so highly. The red salmon, with high nutritional value, are cared for in every detail. The scales are cleaned. The fish are checked for no scratches, and some of the special quality fish are even individually packaged as premium sashimi for high-end restaurants in Tokyo or Seoul. Meanwhile, the cod, with white, sweet, and protein-rich meat, is carefully processed to preserve the meat's structure. The meat is filtered out by a super-precise cutter, then vacuum-packed to retain maximum nutritional content. The head, bones, skin and organs are not wasted, all are used as animal feed, fertilizer or exported omega-3 fish oil. By noon, the sun is higher, but the temperature is still below 5 degrees Celsius. The fishermen grab a quick lunch of food they brought with them, sometimes just sandwiches, hot water, and a few slices of smoked fish, and then return to work. There is no time to rest at sea. Because each day at sea costs thousands of dollars in fuel, labor, and machine maintenance. Every hour, every minute must be taken advantage of. In the afternoon, the fishing lines are lowered again. This time towards the new salmon migration route that has just been identified by the underwater sonar system. Modern positioning devices help the captain know exactly where the fish are moving. Sometimes, just by throwing the hook at that point. Within a few hours, hundreds of fish continue to be caught on the hook as if the ocean itself is rewarding human patience and ingenuity. As the purple sunset gradually falls on the sea, the silhouette of the fishing boat seems to shrink in the vast ocean. Seagulls fly around the side of the boat, sometimes swooping down close to the deck, fighting for a few pieces of fish that have fallen. The space suddenly became strangely quiet. Only the steady hum of the engine and the clatter of fishing lines being dropped again, preparing for the last catch of the day. At the back of the boat, a group of fishermen were still working hard on the refrigeration system. They carefully loaded boxes of frozen salmon and cod into the lower storage area, where the temperature was maintained at sub-zero levels. Each box was sealed and clearly coded, noting the type of fish, weight, date of catch and fishing area. All were checked by the captain and the data management engineer, an indispensable position in today's modern industrial fishing industry. More than just fishing. Modern fishing boats in Alaska also carry a miniature production ecosystem. In addition to the control room, kitchen, restroom and fuel tank, there is also a seawater treatment station to make fresh water, auxiliary solar power systems and hydrological analyzers. All of this makes the multi-day journey across the ocean more efficient and safer as darkness covers the sea. The trawl marker lights are turned on along the side of the ship. The blue-white lights shine down on the water, creating a magical strip of light in the deep Black Sea. In that light, you can see a series of curious salmon swimming closer. They are attracted by the lights, and accidentally fall into the waiting net area. That is the light lure technique that Alaskan fishermen apply very effectively at night. In the control room, the captain observes the signals from the underwater sonar. The flashing lines on the screen clearly show each school of fish swimming by. With experience and a sharp eye, he orders the ship to change course slightly to the right by 15 degrees, dropping a few dozen meters of net in the area where the sonar is densely displayed, a decision that brings dozens of tons of fish in just the next few hours. In the middle of the night, even though the temperature had dropped below zero, the fishermen did not rest. Their hands were red and chapped from the cold water. But no one complained. On deck, fish continued to be pulled up. The giant cod now looking like living ice blocks, their thick bodies and scales glistening in the ship's lights. An older man, perhaps the most experienced fisherman on board, stood next to the pile of fish that had just been pulled up, using a knife to precisely cut each line on the fish's body. He did not need to measure, did not need to weigh. Just by looking he knew which fish were qualified for sashimi, which were good for smoking, and which were suitable for the canning factory. Every movement he made was quick and decisive, as if programmed by decades of drifting in the ocean. Inside the engine room, technicians operated the superfast freezing system. They control the pressure, humidity and wind speed to freeze the fish as quickly as possible without breaking the cell structure. The secret to maintaining its natural freshness when it is thawed in high-end restaurants in New York or Tokyo. The quality of Alaskan salmon, or Alaskan cod, is famous worldwide not only for its freshness but also for the strict preservation process from the first minute the fish is pulled from the sea. Near dawn, when the last fishermen finished their night shift, the ship was loaded with nearly 80 tons of various types of fish. The cargo boxes were tightly closed and neatly stacked in the hold. On the deck, the nets and fishing lines were cleaned and prepared for the next day. A simple breakfast of hot bread, coffee and smoked salmon was shared equally among the entire crew. They sat in small groups, chatting animatedly, their faces tired but their eyes still sparkling with confidence. For them, the sea is not a place to rest, but a place to make a living. A bowl of rice for the family. A place where they have been attached to their whole lives. On land, few people can imagine that to have a piece of fresh salmon on the dining table, or a slice of cod fillet in the supermarket, is the result of so much sweat, technique and technology on ships in the middle of the cold ocean. Each catch of fish is not only a commodity, but also a symbol of human strength, brains and working hands in the face of harsh nature.